Hey kiddos, it's Mrs. Coulson. Hey, I just wanted to introduce our week's some of our week's activities or topic for the week. We are going to be talking about the night sky, kind of day and night, and these next 2 weeks or so are going to be our final weeks of just our core curriculum. So this will be the last week that we do our vocabulary gestures, the last week that we do spelling stories, and so I wanted to just do the weekly opener because I thought this is another one of my favorite weeks, and so I wanted to show this to you. So I'm going to just flip back and forth to a couple of different slides to talk about our topic for the week. So just listen carefully.
Up in the sky. What can you see in the sky? What do you see when you look up in the sky? Watch as the sky changes throughout the day. You'll see the sun rise in the east early in the morning. Sometimes the sky is filled with clouds. The wind moves the clouds and the sky changes. Sometimes there are so many clouds that they cover up the sun. At the end of the day, the sun sets in the west and the sky fades from bright to dark. Night comes. Then you can see the moon move across the sky. From day to day, the moon looks like it changes its shape. When it is perfectly round, we call it a full moon. What else can you discover in the sky?
Hey, there's me. All right, so one of the things that we're going to be talking about this week is the night sky, and so I'm going to pull this up really quickly because I think it's really fun. Just some different things about specifically the night sky, and so we're going to look here first at this first picture, and it says this is how the Earth and the moon look from space. How much of the moon we can actually see changes from day to day. And so we call this the phases of the moon, boys and girls. And later on this week, we're going to do a little activity that goes along with the phases of the moon. But I want you to keep the moon in your mind because we are going to be doing and reading stories that go along with the moon. So these are called the phases of the moon. And you guys know that when we see the whole moon, we call it a full moon. So I want to see if you know, I'm not going to tell you yet, but if you know some of those different phases or if you want to research those a little bit, you can. It says on a clear night you can see hundreds of stars just by looking up at the sky, and I'm sure that you all have been able to see that, especially on clear nights in Idaho. We see so many stars and it's so beautiful. Telescopes help us see objects in the sky and learn even more about space. So this here is a huge telescope. I'm sure I would be interested to know if you've had an opportunity to look through a telescope this big. If not, if you've ever had the opportunity to look through any type of telescope to look at the night sky. And it says high-powered telescopes can show us galaxies of stars far, far away. And so this is a picture of a galaxy of stars. And how amazing is that? That is such a cool picture of a galaxy. So that's part of what we're going to be talking about. But then again, we're also going to be talking about our vocabulary. So vocabulary, boys and girls, we have 5 words that we're going to go over this week. We also have our sight words. So these words right here are our sight words, but we're also going to be focusing on these 5 words right here. So our first word at the top of the list is the word observe. And so I want you to think about the word observe and what does that mean? The sentence in the picture that they use here, it says, I can observe what the birds do in the bird bath. So when you observe something, you're watching it carefully, right? So the question is, what have you sat and observed? What do you like to observe, right? And I'm sure a lot of us have taken time to sit and observe and think about some of the things that are around us. So observe is one of our first vocabulary words. Our second vocabulary word is this one right here. It's vast, vast. If something is vast, boys and girls, it is very large. So if you look at the example of the picture, you see here the boat, and the boat is floating on the vast ocean. So we know that oceans are very large. So we would say that it is vast.
Vast. When something is vast, it is very large.
We sailed on the vast ocean is the example that they give us here. So vast. If something is vast, it is very large. And I think the ocean is a great example. After vast, our next word is, there's our soft C, certain. Certain. If you are certain of something, it's like you know it. So the sentence says, Juan is certain that he will have fun at the fair. So if you're certain about something, you're sure. You're sure that it will happen. You're sure that it is true, right? So we can be certain about a lot of things. Like I can be certain that the sun is going to come up in the morning. Or I can be certain that I'm going to go to bed tonight, right? So there are lots of things that we can be certain about. The next one here is remained. Remained. So the example is remained means staying the same or stayed in place. So I guess if we can think of an example, I remained at home learning. Remained. And the example they give here is the kite got stuck in the tree and it remained there until the wind blew it down. So if you remain somewhere, you stay there. So at this point, we are remaining at home to learn at home. We are staying. Let me see. Come on. Hey. All right, the last one is thoughtful. Kayla was thoughtful when she visited her grandmother in the hospital. So if you're thoughtful, boys and girls, I think you can think about this one. If you're thoughtful, you're kind and you think about how others feel. And all of you are very, very thoughtful. We can be thoughtful in lots of different ways, right? Just even helping our brothers and sisters with something without them asking. Those are ways that we can be thoughtful, right? So I want you to think about, again, different ways that you are thoughtful too. Down the middle, we have our sight words for the week. We have another, climb, full, great, pour, and through. And we will be studying these words as we read our story for the week. And then we have two other words that you'll see. And this word is leaped, like I leaped high in the air, and then stretched. And I think you kiddos can figure out what leaped and stretched are. But we will be focusing our vocabulary gestures on these words over here on this side. So I'm really excited. I hope if you get a chance, when the moon comes out at night, to go outside and observe. That would be really awesome. Tell me what you see. And we'll talk more about this as we go through the week. So we'll talk soon.